Hey guys, what's up? It's Lainey, and today I am giving you guys a requested video. Claire Carter and Marissa Yonker both suggested that I do this video, and it is romances that I do not like. So these books I read last year, and I did not like them. It takes a lot for me to not like a book, but these ones kind of stood out because there were some ridiculousness that I could not get over. The first book was the first book that I read last year. I remember this distinctly. I was trying to buddy read it with my two friends, Riley and Kenya. Pretty sure Kenya never made it past like 20%, and I can't remember if Riley finished it or not. It was The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty by whatever pen name Anne Rice used for this one. I can't remember. I've heard about this book for years now. It's a retelling of Sleeping Beauty in an erotic setting. This one book was fucking ridiculous. What didn't I like about this book? You know, I kept reading it. I finished it. It was so weird that I was like, what is the appeal of this book? Because I know a lot of people love it, but I couldn't see it. The basic premise is after Sleeping Beauty awakes, which is kind of a little rapey the way she is woken up. She's woken up by the prince having sex with her. He takes her to his kingdom, which is like a sex kingdom. The whole kingdom like trains people to be like sex slaves. It was very bizarre. It was like the kind of sex slavery role play or something where you basically have to act like a dog or something. You have to like crawl on all fours everywhere. It was just weird. Even as I'm saying it, I'm like, did I really read that? Yeah, I did. And there was just like so many weird moments where I was like uncomfortable that I was reading it. It takes a lot to get me uncomfortable when it comes to romance books. Yeah, when I started the book, I thought, I'm gonna read this whole trilogy. But after I finished the first book, I couldn't do it. If you have read this book, please let me know down below. I would love to discuss it with you. The next one that I read that I did not like was Rough by Skye Warren. This was during my binge of Skye Warren because I mentioned her in my romance recommendations video. I was reading a bunch of her books. Like I've read like a lot of her series now because she writes like 5 books a year, I think. I read this one. This was one of her first ones, so I think that's also a problem because I didn't really like it. Thought I was gonna like it because it was about a single mom who is very confident in herself and, you know, she does one night stands and doesn't care about that. I don't read a lot of female heroines in romances that are like that, so I thought that's what I was gonna like, but she fell in love with this rich guy way too quick, and of course she was, you know, moderately poor. I'm just kind of sick of books where the guy is like super rich. Why can't they both be rich? Why can't he be poor? This one was also written very, very bad because I remember thinking while I was reading this, she does not write like this anymore because I've read her later books, but this was like one of her first books and it was just like really bad writing. I've also found that she's kind of a hit or miss author for me. There's some series that I really like of hers, and then there's some series or books that I've read where I'm just like, eh. The next one that I had on my Kindle since like seriously 2012. When I saw it, I'm like, oh, well, I have it, so I might as well just read it. Mafia Captive by Kitty Thomas, and by the title, you know what it is. I always try to find mafia romances that impress me. They never do. This one was really bad. I think if I would've, I didn't rate any of the books that I read last year, but this one was definitely a 1, if that. It was just very boring. That's like the best way I can describe it. You could tell it came out in 2012 because the BDSM aspect was like super prevalent in this book. That's when like the 50 Shades of Grey craze was at its peak right before the movie rights were sold. That's when I read 50 Shades of Grey, was in 2012. Wow, that's been so long. The sex scenes weren't even like very good. Maybe it's just because I've read so many more sex scenes since this book came out that they didn't like impress me. Basically this girl like witnesses a murder that she shouldn't have witnessed, so then instead of killing her, gives her to his brother, and they're in the mafia. And that's it. Another author that made my romance recommendations list, but then she is also a hit or miss author for me. 72 Hours by Bella Jewell. She's the one that wrote the modern pirate romances that I just binged and totally enjoyed. She wrote this like romantic suspense book, wrote 72 Hours, that was like so bad. When I was reading it, I was like not into it at all, but I wanted to finish it because I don't like not finishing books. I definitely like to see them through to the end, even if I'm not enjoying them. There's like a serial killer that has been watching this couple for a very long time. This couple breaks up and they hate each other now. So then the serial killer is like, I'm gonna put them into a survivalist game in the woods and I'm gonna hunt them. That's what he does. The main character, the girl, oh man. It's been a long time since I've hated a female character as much as I've hated her. So poorly written, had no character traits, and she was so annoying to the hero. I was like, you need to like be nicer to him. They're trying to survive in this wooded area while they're also being hunted by the serial killer. That was a cool setup. I'm interested in seeing how it is executed. Not executed well. No, it was not. Wasn't a very sexy book either. Getting like hurt by traps, and they're like gross and sweaty and dirty from the woods. And they like tried to like reconnect their like romance. I was like, you guys need to brush your teeth. I've just recently read a book here in April. I would put it in this list, and that was Mr. Moneybags by Keelan and Penelope Ward. I've come to learn that these two authors are also hit and miss for me. Not that I've had like an extreme hit with them yet. Maybe that means these authors aren't really for me. The setup, again, was amazing. This journalist, I already forget her name, she has to interview this like super elusive billionaire of this company, and she gets stuck in an elevator with this guy. The elevator breaks down, and as she starts like complaining about why she's there, that she has to interview this guy, she doesn't realize the guy she's supposed to be interviewing is the guy that's in the elevator with her. So he gets nervous and he ends up lying, saying he's someone else, and then they start dating. She has to correspond via email with the guy that she's also technically dating, but she doesn't know that both these guys are the same person. I was really excited to read it. About halfway through this book, it takes like a hard left and just keeps going in this direction that I did not want it to go down. It's not really a spoiler because I've seen Goodreads people talk about this, but I didn't know about this aspect of it going into it. But there's like this like weird, maybe not incest plot, and I did not expect that. I'm like, ew, this is like going in a direction I don't want to partake in. But then even when they like think that they might be related, they still are like trying to be together. And it's like weird because then he's like researching different places in Europe that they can live where this is legal, and I'm like, okay, I want to tap out, but I have 2 hours left of this audiobook, so I might as well just finish it out. It's like, I can't get behind this. Just like fell off the wagon into Crazy Town. I didn't want to be there. I was stuck there. Those are all the romance books that I read that I did not like. Have you guys read any of these books? Or what are some romance books that you guys don't like? Because I want to make sure that I don't pick them up. My name is Lainey. I make videos every Monday and Friday on books and writing. All my social media links will be listed down below if you guys want to check me out on other places. I hope you guys all have a really great day, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye!